It stopped.
Oh my god, when?
Should I stop that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just had this feeling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Winding Waves. I'm your co-host, Amanda.
And I'm Karen. I just always expect you to say it.
To introduce you?
Yeah, just a little
Why?
thing.
Okay, maybe next time. And today's episode, we are back with a 2020 year in review. Happy New Year's to everyone. And yeah, we actually have notes this time.
I'm prepared.
We are prepared.
I did just do them this morning.
So me too, but we're more prepared than we have been.
Well, I think it's more structured. Like,
Yeah.
I have topics to go off of for 2020, because I started going through and I was just writing, events that happened, but no one cares.
Yeah. So we kind of have a template that we're following, and we're going to use that to follow and talk about.
Although I think we're going to skip number 1 and save that for the end, because
Yeah, we should
I
do
don't
that
have
at the
an
end.
answer.
I have an answer. Don't look at my answers. No cheating.
Okay.
Oh, I sniffled already.
Sorry in advance for... I don't think I do it.
It's me. It's literally me while you're talking, so I can't even clip it out. So we're working on it, guys.
Okay. How are we going to start this? So Amanda found something on the internet that just kind of...
Had questions, I guess, or statements for you to think about for your year in review, basically. So do we want to go should we go bottom to top?
Yeah, they were in a weird order where I thought a lot of them were similar answers.
Okay, so how do you want to do it?
I think we could just start from the beginning, but
Skip the first
skip
one?
the first one.
And come back? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't answer number 2, did you?
No, but maybe I'll think of something as we're talking.
Okay. So number 2 was best thing you did for someone else. And we're just talking
In
years
this year.
of 2020.
Yeah.
So what came to my mind is, I don't know when it started, but definitely this year, I made a lot of cards for people. So I'm pretty opposed to going to the store and spending $8 on a card.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. Yeah, the dollar store is cool and you can get 2 for $1. But I think it's so personal to make someone a card.
It means more to the person, too, I feel like.
And I can't remember the first one I made, but it was a lot of my coworkers. So just for birthdays. Because no one else seemed to want to celebrate birthdays or get organized. But that you need something exciting
Yeah,
and
make it
good to look
special.
forward to. So even just the card and a baked good.
Mm-hmm.
So I started making cards for everyone on their birthday or special events that whoever was going through.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't original ideas. I would go on the internet
they're cute.
and find punny. Most of them were punny cards.
The one that you did for my graduation.
Maybe we could insert some in the YouTube video.
For my, it was for my exam, wasn't it? And my exam and graduation, she gave me
I
a
still
card.
can't even remember what it was. And that was the most recent one I made.
The one for my exam I remember more, which was I'm rooting for you, and it was
all root vegetables.
Root vegetables coming out of the ground.
We should definitely insert some of them because they were pretty great, and I took pictures of most of them.
If you're watching our YouTube video, I will overlay the ones that I have
And if you're
photos
not,
of.
and you're listening, you should probably go to YouTube and watch the YouTube video as well.
And listen.
Yeah, just do it all.
Just do everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Plug. So yeah, the card. So there were just so many times where I know the card made such a big impact on people.
Mm-hmm. You're thinking about them.
Yeah, and someone in specifically someone I know, they were going through a really hard time in their life, and the card just made literally made their day. They were having such a shitty day, and it just a little
Yeah.
piece of paper that I just like drew that I don't want to say it's quick,
but you
like,
took the time to do it.
yeah.
Even if
so-
it takes 5 minutes, you're taking that time and you're thinking of that person.
So yeah, so that was something that it said best thing you did for someone else. So that was kind of like my thing.
I don't know why I can't think of anything. I know there has to be something, but I feel like I can't think of it.
I mean, like, I'm sure you did things for like mom and dad
Well,
at
yeah.
home and like
Yeah.
little things. Like
Little
nothing-
things, but like I can't think of like a best thing. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
there was no. Yeah, that's what a lot of these were like. It was hard to pick like.
So I don't
one
know.
thing.
I'm not a shitty person. Like I do, I do things for people.
Selfish.
I just like can't think of anything. But
Well,
anyway,
maybe it'll come up.
maybe I'll think of it. The next one I also couldn't answer, which was our favorite movie of the year, and I can't answer that because I watch too much Netflix and movies that I can't think of like.
But a lot of them, I don't even know if they were like movies that came out in 2020.
Oh, is that what?
I don't know.
Either way, I don't know.
Yeah, I just watched a lot of.
I watch a lot of like documentaries or like series and things like
Yeah, I
that.
can't think like. We just watched that movie Soul on Disney, but I think that was this year, which is
Yeah.
technically 2021. Or the only one I can remember is that Holiday movie
Oh,
on Netflix, which like I wouldn't say it was like the best movie, but it was.
it made me
entertaining.
laugh. It made me laugh.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a Christmassy movie,
It was just funny.
but it was like entertaining.
Yeah. So maybe that'll come to us too. But next question was favorite show of the year. And I think most of the ones that I wrote down were not just from this year. Like they're series that I like got back into or I started. The first is Queen's Gambit, which was like the in thing last year for 2020.
Didn't watch it. What? Is that why you all love chess?
Yeah, so we watched it and now Danny is just like obsessed with chess and we have been playing chess a lot. So we
Yeah.
liked that. It was a very interesting idea and I actually, side note, saw something online that the writer person that brought the
Ooh,
idea
I know what you're gonna say, but I
was
can't remember what it
like
is.
he tried so many times, he or she, I don't know if it's
I
female.
feel like it was she.
Tried to get it to like become a series for a really, really long time and nobody, like producers or like people, I don't know what the job is, but they didn't believe in it. And they were like, who's gonna watch a movie about chess? And then finally whoever picked
It
it
just
up
has to like kick, because the same thing, like the one I've written down, I'm sure you also have written down, was Schitt's Creek,
I wrote that.
and the same idea, like that wasn't as popular.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been out
Yeah.
for a while, and I think it became more popular now when they started winning all those awards, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then it just kind of like kicked on. But
Yeah.
that was the one I said was the most like memorable from the year, like that I watched straight through,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
I love that. I
Yeah.
could sit and watch that all day.
yeah, like that might be one of the like I watch New Girl a lot.
I
just
wrote
as,
that.
like that's just like I've seen it
I wrote that
through
because
so
I
many
think
times.
I think last year I watched it for the first time.
Yeah,
And now since in the 1 year I've watched it through twice because I just would like have it on the background all the time.
yeah,
Yeah, so I wrote those. Those were the ones that I wrote.
that's really all I wrote. I didn't. There's a lot like we're watching Lost.
We're watching Absentia on Amazon Prime right now.
Yeah,
It's pretty intense.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Nothing. No other.
So the next one, I'm gonna let you go first for this one.
I didn't write one,
You didn't write one? Okay.
but like if you can think of something for me, but like I don't know, and now I'm wondering if you wrote what I think you wrote down.
Mine, I'm like opening up a lot.
Okay.
Because this was like the only thing I could think of.
I just told Joe's parents this story. If it's gonna be the same one. Yeah.
Okay, so my most embarrassing moment of the year, I'm like already crying.
But it's
'cause I
not like
wanna laugh.
embarrassing, like, because now I feel like we like laugh about it, because like
It
you're okay, like it
Goes
was all
with
okay.
my next question too. But okay, so the most embarrassing moment for me this year, I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but basically this year was a very, very difficult year for me, with school and life and whatever. And so my anxiety had gone through the
I don't want to laugh, but I can't.
it's a serious
Now I know
I take mental health like very seriously.
But I think we also just react to everything with laughing.
Yeah, and I think looking back, like, because obviously I'm okay, we kind of laugh it off. Like, we kind of use...
moment, definitely
We
not.
use humor as, like, a defense mechanism in
We
our
weren't
family,
laughing
too.
while it was happening.
Oh, no. Well, you weren't even there, but, like...
Yeah, like...
You didn't even know.
Well, I didn't get... No, Daddy texted me.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But I wasn't, like, laughing.
Okay, let me tell them what's going
sorry.
on. So, basically, my anxiety was, like, really, really bad. And it got to the point where, like, I had a major panic attack in the bathroom. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but, like, I had this panic attack, and then I was on the toilet. And I lost feeling in my hands. I lost feeling in my feet. I lost feeling in my face. And, like, my whole body was just kind of, like I felt like I was going to pass out. Anybody with anxiety that has had that happen to them, I know how scary and difficult it can be. Because, like, literally in that moment, I looked at Danny and I was like, I don't want to die. And he was just like, what the
like, it's that bad.
It
it doesn't seem that bad.
It feels
from the
so
outside.
scary. But it was embarrassing to me because then the paramedics or whoever, the EMT, came into the bathroom when I was on the toilet. My pants were pulled down. I'm crying on the toilet. My hands, I couldn't move my hands. They were in, like, claw formation, like, where I literally just, like, couldn't use them. I couldn't move them. So I was sitting there, like, I'm literally having a panic attack right now. I'm a mental health counselor in training, and the EMTs are in the bathroom with me while I am, like, peeing and pooping on the toilet, and I can't wipe or do anything with my own hands. Like, it was just very, very embarrassing for me. And then they took me away in the ambulance to go to the hospital to, like, control me because I was, like, that freaked out. And
You,
the
like,
whole
remember it all, right? Like...
majority of it, like, Danny said in the hospital, I was, like, talking to the nurse, but I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Because I was just, like, wee, like, on drugs that they
once
gave.
you...
But, yeah, like, the whole hospital, the whole ambulance ride to the hospital, I was, like, literally laughing to the guy that was sitting with me because I was, like, this is so embarrassing because, like, this is what I'm meant to help other people with, and I couldn't...
But I think it also helps.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's, like, good that you had that experience, but, like...
It is good.
You
because
have
then I have that empathy towards somebody that's going through it.
Yeah, like, when
or
someone
went through
tries
it.
to, like, tell you how to do something and they have no, like...
Yeah.
As if I were going to give someone advice on how to raise their kid, and it's like, well, you don't have kids.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay.
So it was, like, embarrassing in the moment. Like, I literally was coming down the driveway in their wheelchair with my hands, like, claws, and our dog was in our backyard barking at me, and I was like, and I was like, Belle, it's okay, and, like, waving her with my claw hands.
They carried you downstairs? There's a lot of steps, and, like, even to get you in the wheelchair.
They bring the wheelchair up. It's like a portable wheelchair thingy.
And then, like, the wheels pop out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they, like, carried me down the stairs in that then wheeled me.
Okay.
I kind of wish we had it. Anyway. So, yeah, it was really embarrassing for me. But then going into the next question, since you don't have an answer to that one, it also kind of was one of the times I laughed the hardest was, like, the day or two after that when I was explaining it to Karen. And anytime now that we talk about it, I, like, joke around with my hands because, like, I literally went into the hospital and the woman there was like, can you give me your ID? And I just was, like, hyperventilating, and I looked at her, like,
holding up your hands.
Holding my hands up in my claws of, like, I can't, my hands are not working. And I'm not, like, making light of this because I know it's scary and I know it's a serious thing and people have that happen a lot. But I think for me to kind of, you know, get over it, cope with it, and, like, learn from it, I need to be able to laugh at it and laugh at myself that, like, I let myself get to that point because I should know better as a counselor in training. I didn't do what I could have done to prevent getting that bad.
But I think we also, like, just because it was your hands, like, our whole life, we've made the joke of that guy in Scary Movie that has the hand that's a little
it's like disabled or whatever.
That he always says like, oh, I'm going to use my strong hand.
Yeah.
And he uses that hand.
Yeah.
So I think it all kind of just like was just
reminded us of that.
Yeah. It was all.
It sounds really bad that we're laughing about it, but I think any family or people that are similar to us that like would go through it would use, like, people use humor as coping mechanisms.
Well, I think it always, whenever I think of that, I think of, so when our grandpa passed away now, other grandpa, like 12 years ago at this point, he just like was a person who always told jokes and was always laughing. So like at the funeral or the wake or whatever you call it, like all of us cousins were like joking and like reminiscing and like laughing, and I could see people like looking at us like,
what's wrong with them?
That we were being so rude by laughing at a funeral, but it was like, that was him. Like, that's how he would have wanted it to be. So it was like,
we grew up with a lot of humor in our family. So yeah, that's one of the times that I laughed the hardest, that I remember like actually talking about it afterwards when I was like able to talk about it without crying and getting upset.
Yeah.
It was serious and it was scary, but I think it kind of taught me a lot about myself.
I thought of the time I laughed the hardest. But continue.
Okay. I mean, we can move on.
Well, that was like what you were answering. Like the next question was the time you laughed the hardest.
Yeah.
And I assume you're saying like once we're looking
back.
Once
I was looking back at it, I was able to talk about it.
Laugh and deal with it. Okay. I think we're good now. Okay.
Do we just jump
So now we're gonna... Okay, so you talked about how...
I went to the hospital with my claw hands. That was pretty embarrassing.
That we were laughing about it after, because the next one was time you laughed the hardest.
So that was one of the times I laughed the hardest. I have another one, but you can go.
So what came to my mind was... So this is also... I'm going to jump to another question because it kind of answers questions. But the other one was like favorite place you visited this year, which...
I didn't answer that, so that's...
There wasn't many. So we did go with a small group of our friends to like upstate New York. Just for like a long weekend. And we decided to go for a hike. And we kind of picked a place that someone told us to go to. So a bunch of us all got in the cars, went to go do the hike. And we looked it up on All Trails. Someone did. And we kind of just were like, okay, cool. So we expected, like a leisurely hike. So now we're hiking and it starts going like up, like straight up. Like you're not like rock climbing, but like you don't have to use your hands, but like it was at as much of an incline before you need to use your hands.
Oh my God.
So we start going. And like we started separating, like some people going faster, slower. And it was just like, I couldn't stop laughing because it was never ending.
Like you couldn't see where
Like Adam was like up. Adam and Joe were like slightly ahead of me. And I kept being like, how's it look up there? And they'd be like, oh, it's flattening out. And I'm like, oh, good. And then like he'd be like, it's just kidding.
Oh my God.
And like it was one of those where you're like laughing hysterically, but also like, am I going to die?
Like you're in pain.
Yeah. And like we weren't ready for a hike like that.
Are we like weirdos? The fact that our two things that make us laugh the hardest were like when we felt like we were going to die.
Probably. But the funniest thing was that we got to like what we thought was like the top-ish, and it was like halfway. We probably saw an hour straight walking up, and we got, and these people were all up with their backpacks, bananas, waters, even like those hiking, the sticks. And we were like, oh, are you going up, or did you come down? And they're like, oh, well, up is another, so like we probably did like a mile, and they were like, oh, it's another like 2 miles, and it gets steeper.
What?
So like we all like wanted to, but it was like, we're not prepared. Like,
and then you have to come back down.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're at the top and it's over.
It was just up and down. So,
oh my God.
Thinking back, it was just like...
Did you go to the top?
No. We planned the next morning to wake up and go, and we did it.
Oh my God.
But it was cool. Like we have pictures that like it was a really nice view, and it was great. But then you had to go back down, so it was like just straight down. I definitely fell. I slipped.
I can imagine.
So like it was just
literally
like
picturing like straight up.
And then we looked it up on All Trails, and it was in the hard category.
But you said somebody told you it wasn't.
Well, like they just like said that we should go do the hike, and like we could definitely do the hike if we were prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were not prepared. We didn't have enough water.
Into.
We didn't have snacks. We had nothing. But just to know, like I'm not a hard All Trails
hiker.
We were looking for like an easy.
And that's
Flat.
not
And
what
it
that was. The red light is still on. Okay, so that was your favorite trip, and
That was my favorite trip. Yeah, I didn't really go anywhere else. We were supposed to go to Alaska on a cruise, but that didn't happen. So
yeah.
we'll see if that happens this year.
So going back to the time I laughed the hardest, the second thing that I could think of was when I cut our dad's hair during quarantine.
Yeah.
I literally recorded a 50-minute. It took me an
That long?
hour, and it ended up as a buzz cut.
Did you use
So it was
scissors?
just no.
What did you? Oh, just like
Like
the-
clippers, but it was like not real clippers. It was like Danny's like shitty drugstore clippers. And so like the actual clipper part wouldn't stay at like the number that you put it on. So like if I had it on like the lowest or the highest or whatever where like it kept it long
Yeah.
and I would go through his hair, it would just the whole chunk would come off. So yeah, it took me 50 minutes to end up giving a buzz cut, but it was comical in the moment. So that was one of the times I laughed the hardest as well. Moving on for time's sake to the next question, which was something you learned to do or never have done before. I have 3 things.
I wrote a lot of things, but they're just kind of like they could be grouped together.
So, 2 of mine are baking things. So I learned how to bake cinnamon rolls.
Ooh,
And they actually came out decent.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. And then we learned how to make puff pastry dough from scratch at home. Because in England they have like meat. My mom calls them meat patties, and Danny gets mad because they're not meat patties.
But he calls them pasties.
It's a meat pasty. Pasty. I say pasties, but that's like what you put on your
boob.
your nippies. But they're meat pasties, and they get like bean and cheese or bean and meat and like things like that in England. So I learned how to make the puff pastry, which you can also use for like pies and stuff like that kind of stuff. So yeah, so like I learned how to bake different things that I never did before. And we revamped and like refurbished, I don't know what you call it, an old dining room set over the summer. And so yeah, we learned how to like use a sander and like measure out everything and cut wood on a diagonal and like things that we never did before.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. So
That's similar to like what I had written down. So like when we bought the house, like none of these things like had to be done. Like everything was fine, but
Yeah.
like one of the rooms had carpet, and we were just not about it. So we did new floor in there. So I was able to do that. What else did we do in the house? This wall.
I know I was gonna say.
I was like, that's something we did. We took down like an above ground pool. So I had seen one be put up, but I never like took one down. That was kind of interesting. A lot of spiders.
Oh,
Gross.
I just thought of okay.
And then just like house things. So like you can probably relate now. You'll have to change the shower, like the shower head and the spigot to just swap them because I like the one downstairs better than upstairs. So I swapped those. Also shot a gun for the first time. We went to the
That's scary.
shooting range
Yeah.
in February. And then we rode. I don't think I've like actually driven an ATV by myself.
Yeah.
So to do that in the backyard with you.
Oh, scary.
Also wished
Wait, that
maybe
was
we can insert
funny.
clip
Okay.
of that because I have that too of us of
Okay.
me driving Amanda.
And I didn't feel good that day, and like I was feeling very anxious, and it was affecting my stomach. So I didn't want to do it, but I think I laughed pretty hard.
That was also
that
I
was a
gonna
good
say,
one.
That was a laugh.
Another thing that I thought of when you were talking that we laughed at pretty hard, but was also something new that we did, was Karen and Joe had this brilliant idea of making of let's make pizzas in a wood burning stove that we make outside.
Like a brick oven. It was supposed to be like bricks.
Okay, yeah, like a brick oven thingy. So I can also put pictures of what that ended up looking like. But basically, we tried to do that, but because Karen cleaned the stone or whatever
Well, they were
beforehand.
cement, but it wasn't only my fault.
No, but it was
It
like
had
the
water
weather
built
too.
up. They were from outside. They were
Yeah.
filled with water.
And we didn't know that if it came to a certain temperature that the rock would literally just like implode and explode everywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really scary though, because why do we laugh at like scary shit?
Well, it wasn't getting hot. Like the fire wasn't staying.
Mm-hmm.
So I was inside cooking the pizzas in the oven in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I think just as we were told, the moisture inside the blocks got too hot and expanded, therefore causing an explosion of the rock into little pieces.
And like Danny was literally like a foot away from it and then walked away. And like if he stayed there any longer, it would have his
That
face
was dangerous.
would be
Because
crushed.
we were like all up in that, like blowing,
like your face right next
like trying to get the fire to like go.
That's what made it scary, but like it was hysterical that we literally took, it was like an hour long job or longer of just trying to get
a fire
to work, and it exploded on itself. So yeah, it was pretty funny. It's been 10 minutes. Do we just keep going?
Yeah, as long as you see the light.
Okay. Okay, so what's the next question?
The next question was most newsworthy event.
I didn't really understand. I didn't know if that meant like legitimate world news or like in our life.
So, I only talked about myself.
Okay.
So like I just said like there were a lot of things that happened this year. Like I got a house.
Okay, that's.
I got a house. I got engaged, and we started this podcast.
Yeah.
I said those were like pretty newsworthy.
Okay, so
events.
newsworthy, I agree, is starting this podcast.
I didn't want to talk about what happened in the world because that's just
yeah. So you don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
So I guess me graduating is a big deal. Like, should be newsworthy. It should be all over the news, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big thing. Yeah, it wasn't anything like too detailed.
Okay.
The next question or topic said like your biggest lesson learned. I didn't really pick like a specific lesson, but just the idea of like not being scared to take a risk.
I like that.
Which we're both terrible at.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But just the idea that I was kind of just thinking about that I did quit my job and that I'm trying to,
better your life.
Yeah, just be happier, but also like, yeah, just have like the freedom to figure out what I do want to do. But it was scary to kind of just like take that risk of like leaving a job.
Yeah.
Especially in the world.
I feel like looking back though, like even in my life, like those times that I took the bigger risks, I was happier afterwards. Yes. My biggest lesson learned, or I have kind of two. I put patience. So like being patient in myself, being patient in
others,
with life and with others and where my life is. So that's something that I learned that I'm still working on. And also a big lesson I learned is how important self-care is, because I wasn't taking care of myself. So I let myself get to the point of going to the hospital with my claw hands. So yeah.
Okay. We're having some, technical difficulties today, so it may
we
be
have
a little choppy.
We didn't say, but we have a new camera today, so we're trying to figure out how it works, and for some reason it keeps stopping every 12 minutes exactly. So
we'll learn it.
We're working on it. But what I was saying is patience and self-care, because like the more and more you take care of yourself, you're kind of preventing yourself from burning out or reaching the point of having a major panic attack. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, those were two big things that I learned this year.
I think a lot of people did. Like, self-care was a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, you don't realize how go you are, and then...
Like, I took so many baths. Like, just so many. Just because you're, like, not... Sometimes I try to leave my phone and not bring my phone, so you're just kind of, like, not doing anything.
Yeah.
And not looking at your phone for, like, once in the day.
Yeah, that's important. Okay. The next one was favorite place you visited, but we talked about that. Yeah. And I didn't go anywhere, so...
It's not terrible.
What's next?
The next was most memorable moment or like day. So obviously like getting engaged, buying a house were like important, but when I read this, there was like one specific day in the year that just stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was back in May. It was like May 9th. So it was like the beginning of May.
Mm-hmm.
And it snowed. So like we live in New Jersey, and May
Did it? I don't
it
remember.
snowed. So me,
It snows
Joe,
in-
and
okay.
2 of our friends we were like gonna sit outside and like hang out and have Chinese food
Mm-hmm.
because we were still not really like seeing people, but like
Yeah.
wanted to be outside.
Yeah.
And we were literally sitting outside, and it started snowing. It was a solid like 10-15 minutes, but it was like snow. Like we were in, like, if you look at the pictures, you would think it was like November, December.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
It
don't
snowed.
remember.
So like it was just hysterical, and it was just like a fun
Because it's like
day.
May.
Yeah, it was May. Like you should be like warm. So yeah, that was what, like, as far as like just some day that stuck out in my mind, besides all the other big important events.
The one that I thought of makes me want to cry a little bit, so we're just gonna like do it quick
Just say it and just move
and just move forward. I don't even know if we want to talk about it, but most memorable or moment day of the year was the day. Oh my god, I need to. Was the day that my mom finished her cancer treatments and came home. And I, like, decorated our stairs when you
Yeah.
come in. And I said, like, you did it. Because she did it. She
Yeah.
freaking did it. So that was in February. That was, like, really memorable for us in the house.
But that's like a happy, like some of
It's
that
a
stuff
happy
I like
thing. It's
you like
like-
block out of your brain because
Yeah.
like I don't want to think about it, but like that was one of the happier things.
It was, like, a
of
big
that whole
deal. That's new.
situation.
I think that's newsworthy, too. It
Yes.
was, like, a big thing. Like, you finish your cancer treatments and you
Yeah.
conquer it. Fighter. Go, Mama, I love you. Even though I told you can't watch these anymore.
Yeah.
Moving on. The best advice you received this year.
Did you have anything or nothing specific?
So I think people didn't really say this in these words, but I said, like, to trust the timing of your life. Because I feel like all year I was I still am in that mindset of, like, being stuck or
Check out episode
one.
1.
Like, being stuck or, like, wanting more from where my life is right now, but, like, I need to kind of be patient, which is what I've been trying to practice, and learn, like, to trust the timing of my life and know that, like, things are happening when they're supposed to for me.
That whole
So,
quote,
like-
like, don't compare I think you said it.
Yeah.
Don't compare your chapter
Yes.
5 to
Yes.
someone's chapter.
So, like, basically
80.
that. Like, trust where your life is. And I think people have been telling me that, just not in those necessarily, like, words, but, like,
Yeah.
saying you just need to be grateful for where you are and what you have. So I think that's something I've been learning and practicing as I go. But, yeah, that was definitely good advice that I'm still trying to
Yeah.
take in.
Nothing, yeah, like mine was the same. Like, there's nothing. I think just Joe has said it before. Like, do what makes you happy. Like, if it doesn't make you happy, why are you doing it? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to do things that you don't necessarily want
Want
to,
to.
but, like, especially, like, I know you talked about learning new things. Like, you did a lot of cooking and baking. Like, I did a lot of cooking and baking this year, and I just feel like it's so soothing and calming,
Yeah.
but also, like, you feel so accomplished. Like, I cooked a whole turkey.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like,
And, like, you can't, I mean, I don't want to say it's not hard to mess up things, but, like, even last night, we made pot roast, I was just telling you, in the crock pot. You literally just put the meat, there's, like, 2
put it
steps to
in.
it, and you put it in there, and it comes out, and it's just, like, amazing.
yeah.
But, like, just do it.
So
Yeah.
doing
So,
what makes you happy.
Doing what makes you happy was
I think that
kinda,
goes
the
with,
best
like,
advice.
self-care, taking care of yourself and
Yeah.
figuring out what makes you happy and doing more of that. I need to learn from that as well and do more of that. The next one is achievement that you are proud of from this year. I put, for myself, graduating with my master's because it was a freaking long time coming.
Yeah.
I make master's programs sound so awful. It's still on. Sounds so awful, but it's a grueling program that I'm in, and it's like you do a lot of work and you don't really like see the return necessarily.
But you've also been going to school forever. Like, it just never,
So I haven't had, like, a break. Anyway, so yeah, graduating was a big accomplishment. And then I said the second thing was getting help for myself and starting therapy, because I have been saying since I started grad school that I wanted to start therapy, and then I just never did. So yeah, I recommend to everybody to go to a mental health counselor / therapist / art therapist, just to take care of yourself. You're not crazy. You don't have to have problems to go talk to somebody.
That's not in
I have,
your
like, my
life
telephone voice on.
Yeah, you have, like, your advertisement.
My advertisement voice. But yeah, I think it's good just to have that, like, one person who is objective to your life rather than having, like, emotions and, like, an opinion on your life. So I could talk about politics or anything in the world that I wanted to talk about and not feel like I'm, like, hurting her feelings or, like,
yeah, like, that's what
like, being mean or, like, anything. Like, I could get off my chest whatever it is I need to talk about. So, yeah, it was a big deal for me to start doing that. Yeah, those were my, like, 2 big achievements that I thought of.
The only, like, there's a lot of things I did, but I mean, like, the first one that I thought of was getting my real estate license. Mm-hmm. Although, like, I don't know if that's what I want to do or, like, what's going to happen. Or,
but I feel like what it
represents. Just going through the process and getting it, passing the test on the first try, just being done, you know what I mean? Like going
moving to another chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to say that I did it. So that was kind of what, yeah.
Woohoo. The next question I didn't answer. Reminisce on one great compliment you received this year. I hate talking about myself, but, like,
I'll go.
I can't think of, like, a compliment that somebody's given me.
So I specifically have gotten the compliment. It sounds like it sounds so like, "Ooh, I'm great," but it's like
so great.
Just a compliment of, like, being a good friend. Just like
being there.
Them appreciate, especially. Yeah, this kind of it's gonna tie into the next one, which is what or whom you're most thankful for. Mm-hmm. So the idea that everyone this year, like, I feel like you kind of, I don't know if I like realized who your true friends are, but, like, just the idea of, like, you to keep in contact with people, it always takes effort, and just to, like, every friendship is different. Like, some people you don't talk to every day, you talk once a week, it's always different. But I just, this year specifically, I got a lot of feedback on, like, that I was helping someone in some way as far as a friend. Just, like, even if it was something stupid, like, text me back, call me back. Just little things. Like, literally having that support, because just, especially being at home and, like, if you're not going out and doing things, like, just having those friends or people to talk to is, like, a big thing.
Yeah.
So just that's the next one, saying, like, being most thankful for, like, just friends and family, like, realizing who those people were and who's in your life the most, and just...
That's what I put.
When things happen that are negative in your life...
Who can you turn to?
Who can I turn to? And you just, like, find those things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably... That, and... I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about myself a little bit more.
Go ahead.
When I...
Gosh, Karen.
When I quit my job, I remember even, like, leading up to it, everyone was very, I don't know if complimentative is a word. I don't think it is. But
I don't think it is.
I'm going to use it.
Okay.
They were very complimentative of me, in just, like, knowing. This is so annoying to talk about yourself.
I know.
To know, like, how great I was.
At the job.
At my job, but also knowing that I could do better, and that I just had the skills, and, like, just hearing them tell me how great I was in different ways.
Because I don't think we sit around, we're not the kind of people that are like, oh my god, I'm so great. Like, obviously when you're in that situation, you're like, I'm better than this job. Yeah. But you also are like, am I just telling myself? Yeah.
Reassurance of people telling me that I was doing a good job, because I feel like that also doesn't happen very often in certain jobs. So to hear that was good.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm done. I'm talking about myself.
I put the same thing. I basically put support of, like, family and friends That's like
for your last one. What
I'm thankful for. Because I feel like this year, like you said, it was like very eye-opening, I guess, in a way of like who those supports for you are.
Yeah.
And like who can you text when you're like in that moment of like everything sucks, I can't leave my house type of thing. So yeah, I think it was really important. And then just having like your family too to support you. Like Karen knows I was like going crazy in the house and she like would say you could come here whenever. So yeah, I think just figuring out that and knowing that you have that support was something that I was really thankful for. And I think overall, just kind of learning from this year, like I know how sucky the year had been, like for a lot of people, but I think
there was so much good in it.
I think even though it was like overall bad for me, kind of, you can still pick those good things out, but also like I feel like I grew so much during this year because I feel like when you're faced with like adversity like that or like difficult times, you're like kind of forced to be uncomfortable and forced to grow and like learn about yourself and like where your life is. So yeah, I'm like thankful in a way that like it was a very difficult year, but also like obviously nobody wishes to have a shitty year, but
at least positive came out of it.
Yeah, I think it forced me to do a lot of things that I needed to do and learn from. So, yeah. Should we go to, like, our final one word to describe this year?
Yeah, I didn't come up with one. Like, I don't have one word.
I'm acting like my word is, like, really good.
I'm waiting for it to be really great,
so
I'm just like, okay, that's mine, too.
I put challenging.
I wish there's a word, and there probably is, and I probably should have looked it up, but something, challenging, but, like, in a positive way.
I think challenging leading to,
with a
like,
positive
growth.
Yeah.
It was, like, a challenging, growing year. That's not a sentence.
Like, one word is so hard to just...
I put challenging, because I feel like it was... Even good things are challenging, like, when you accomplish it. So, I think, for me at least, the one word I put was challenging because...
Yeah, it had ups and downs.
Ups and downs. We were all hit by a freaking big-ass wave. And, like, some of us got our boogie boards and snorkels and, like, swam through it. And then other ones were, like, struggling harder. Like, yeah.
And you helped each other.
Yeah. Like, we rescued each other. And it's definitely, this year has been, like, a freaking tsunami of a year.
It's over.
Yeah.
We get a new one.
Last year, not this year.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It is 20. I had to fill out a form. This is off topic, but I had to fill a form out at the doctor's office that I went to the other day, and I wrote like 1/7/20, and then I was like, oh my God, idiot, and like had to cross it out and put 21.
You can't even, like, fix it because it's like a big circle.
But anyway,
you just wrote 2021.
Oh shit!
Instead of crossing it out.
Wow. Okay.
Now you know for the next time.
Yeah. Awkward. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I think overall for me it was challenging would be the word, but
yeah,
I think like we said, definitely a positives came out of it. That's our 2020 recap.
Yeah, check us out on Instagram at Winding Waves.
YouTube at Winding Waves.
No, you can't look it up that way. Hopefully,
you can. You can search it.
But I think like only if you've watched the video previously, so I hope that works.
Like
so it knew I was looking for it. So you can't change your like youtube.com/
But that's the name of our channel.
Yeah,
so but you can search it and it comes up.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, well try to find us.
But
if not, the link is in our bio on our Instagram.
That's what's at Winding Waves. You can't change your name until you have like, what did I say? 100 subscribers?
We're getting there.
100. It was 10,000 subscribers.
Come on, guys. Get us to 100 subscribers.
So, like, subscribe when you're watching the YouTube video. Even if you're not watching it, I would like you to watch it. But, subscribe, like, share.
Comment. We want to hear from you guys, too. Like, like, I literally posted... I posted on our Instagram asking what the, like, best part of your 2020 was, and I got 2 responses.
One of those was me.
One was Karen, and one was my friend Lila. I don't remember what yours was. Do you?
What was the question again?
What was your best part of 2020?
I think I wrote starting this podcast.
Okay, maybe. And then Lila put winning the gingerbread house challenge. So yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to have like a
We want some interaction
with our followers. So if you would like to interact with us and talk to us, comments, and yeah.
That's it. Dive in.
Dive in. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.